Hi there, I'm Dr. Lindsay Wilkinson. I'm a naturopathic physician and acupuncturist in Portland, Oregon, and I focus my practice on preparation, journeying, and integration for people who are interested in working with psychedelic medicines. One of the things that I wanted to bring up today is what are some of the top ways to start integrating after you have a big psychedelic journey or psychedelic experience, because the integration process is really where the rubber meets the road. The journey is amazing and can be totally transformative. You can access new parts of yourself that you didn't see and have big emotional release. But really, it's when you come back to your day-to-day life that you have to figure out how these new messages, insights, or ways of being are going to integrate and incorporate into your everyday existence. So the first thing that I like to tell patients and clients to do when they're working with psychedelic medicines is every time you have a journey, write down afterwards the specific details in as much detailed information as you can. So think back on during your journey, what people came through, what places were there any shapes or colors, were there patterns or emotions that were coming through really strongly. Try and remember that everything in a journey is meaningful. Even if it seems like an unusual detail or a random detail, let's assume for the sake of integration that each and every detail during your journey is meaningful. So trying to recall as many of those details as possible is helpful right after your journey, because it's so easy to jump back into normal daily lives, our normal routines and schedules, and forget some of those awesome insights and details that come through. And sometimes what I find for people is that they don't know what something means, a repeated pattern or an emotion or a feeling or message, and then many months later they really get some clarity or insight around that. So remembering, having something to look back on for those details is very helpful in the integration process. Another thing, the second tip that I would recommend for starting the integration process on your own is thinking about maybe what are one to three top themes that came through. Often a psychedelic journey can last hours and hours, and people, go through many different iterations or parts of their journey, and can have lots of messages and insights come through. But if you sort of think about, take a step back from your journey and think about what are the top one to three, themes that came back, or maybe even repeated patterns or repeated messages that came through either in the same way or in different ways throughout that journey, and write those down. That's really helpful to help you in the integration process to see what comes through from your own psyche, your own spirit and experience about what needs to be worked on. Those repetitive patterns or themes that come through, or the ones that feel the biggest, are often the things that need to be integrated first before the deeper work can happen later on. The next tip that I have for you is spending a little bit of time trying to notice if there were any calls to action. Some people come back from doing psychedelic work and feel like they have to make a really strong, vow or promise to themselves, or they feel a sense of connection that needs to be shared with another person. Maybe they were struggling in a relationship or at work or something like that. So trying to recall what was it during your journey when you had some big breakthroughs or big moments or thoughts that needs to be done in this normal everyday existence? What are the things that you have to actually act on in order to see those changes come through? Just write a list of 2 or 3 of those things, and then work with your support team or your friends or facilitators on how to maybe get steps in place to work towards those. The next thing that I would say is noticing or writing down for the integration process, were there any obvious limiting beliefs that you have been carrying around, any negative thought patterns or feelings or subconscious beliefs that have been keeping you stuck or keeping you held back? Sometimes the psychedelic journey is the best place for those to come right to the forefront. We see it in sort of visual images, we hear it in messages, or have some clarity around what the limiting beliefs that we're holding on to that are not related to any circumstances outside of ourselves, but that we need to change within in order to move forward and out of that stuck place. The last thing I would say is noticing, if you can, after you come back from your journey, take a little time for yourself, think about, really spend some time consciously considering what obstacles you might run into when you're trying to make these changes. Some really common obstacles that I see are that people try to take on too much all at once. So they see many different messages or insights and they don't know which one to start with, and then it's hard to get moving on any of them. Another common obstacle that I see is that people don't have enough support in the integration process. So maybe they dive into a big journey because they're so excited about the changes that can happen, but then they don't have the support sort of in place, the structure ready to go, either with counseling or close friends or other types of guides and facilitators, or even having a journal, that's available to you to write messages down. Think about things like recording what comes to you on, even on your phone that you have with you all the time, so that you can really do some of that integration work on your own and seek out support for those obstacles that come through. So if you're interested in learning more, my goal is to try and create a hub, a center for resources, like sharing resources and helping people do that integration work. So if you want to visit me, my website is www.drlindsaywilkinson.com. So that's DRLINDSAY Wilkinson, WILKINSON.com. I hope to see you there. Thanks so much for watching.